Joining us now, the Golden Arm, the pure shooter of all time, Congressman, Republican 3rd District, the Maverick from North Carolina, Walter Jones. Congressman, it's good to have you on, sir.
Well, John, always a pleasure, and I really appreciate the build-up. I want your listeners to know that you're partially telling the truth about my basketball days, but not totally, but I'll accept whatever you say.
I only tell the good, okay? I think your defense was a little suspect, perhaps, but we won't go there. Now, meantime, look, let's talk about other stuff like government shutdowns and whatnot. The Republicans now saying they have a clean bill, and it's another continuing resolution to increase the debt. And how do you stand on it, and where's this whole thing headed?
Well, John, as of yet, we haven't seen the bill that's supposed to come out today, and of course you'll see it, and as soon as I will. But this is not the best way for any party, in this case the Republican Party, to not pass appropriations bills. And here we are at the end of the year with a continuing resolution, and that's when a lot of games are played, some of them not in the best interest of the people, meaning spending. And so I could better answer your question this afternoon than I can right now. The bill is supposed to be made public, I think, sometime this morning. Then you can, with my staff's help, we'll go through it page by page and figure out what is acceptable and what is not acceptable as I continue to speak out, as you speak out, about the wasted money in Afghanistan, which is always in one of these appropriations bills, and we just continue. I don't know if you saw Sunday night 60 Minutes or not. They had two great stories. One that I'd like to mention very quickly was titled Kabul Under Siege While America's Longest War Rages On. Mm-hmm. It's a great, I've actually saw it, but I got my staff to print out the interview as well, so I would have it in written form for a speech I'm going to give on the floor tomorrow. But it's just, I don't know where we're going. The bill being proposed does have the Children's Health Program in it, which that's both parties, Republican and Democrat, want to certainly make sure that our children that cannot afford, the parents cannot afford to go for medical treatment, that there is some help there. So we'll see where it goes, and it, again, should be out this morning.
So, Congressman, you're referring to an extension of the CHIP program, right? You're referring to
CHIP. Right.
CHIP, which is set to sunset, I guess. And what the CHIP program does, this is real, just so our audience knows, because a lot of times you hear government program and you have an immediate recoil to that. And look, I'm going to remind us who we're talking to. We're talking to Walter Jones, who's the biggest deficit hawk in Congress, all right? But you and I both agree that the CHIP program, which provides health care to children under a certain age to working families. So, you know, they have a job, they have an income, they make too much money to qualify for Medicaid, but they don't make enough money in order to buy insurance, or their companies don't offer it. Many of them have two jobs at, $10 or $9-10 an hour, trying to make ends meet. And the CHIP program covers just their children. It doesn't cover them, covers their children. And you and I both think that that is a very meaningful program and should be extended, right?
I do, John. And there's been testimony that I've read, I'm sure you and all of us have as well, that this is an efficient program. It's a wise investment of the taxpayers' dollars, which you can't say that about all the programs up here, which you and I agree with that, I'm sure. But the CHIP program is well administered, and it does a lot of good for those you just described.
No, absolutely. We definitely need that. Let's go to the deferred action for DACA for kids that were brought here, that are under 18, that are now part of this program. And as we go forward with it, many of them came here, brought here by their parents illegally, right? But they're here now. The Democrats trying to what? They're trying to tie this to keeping the government open. But let me just ask you this. Aren't these the same Democrats who under Obama that raised the debt from $8 trillion to $20 trillion? Aren't these the same people who every time this government funding shutdown came, they screamed for a clean bill and they didn't want it tied to anything? What's the deal here?
Well, you know what has been proposed is, and again, the CHIP program is very important to the Democrats as well as the Republicans, but that's one thing that they've been speaking out publicly. We're not doing what's necessary for the CHIP program. So what the Republican leadership has done is put that in as one of the programs that would be voted on to keep the government open, and that's done by both sides to sweeten the deal, so to speak. But again, the CHIP program is a very important program. It's the whole thing that we passed the appropriations bill, and the Senate, Republican Senate, did not take them up. And I'm not putting it all on the Senate, but you have to share in this blame of where we are. Right. And they certainly could have done a better job of trying to pass the appropriations bills that we sent over from the House, but they did not.
So that leads us to where we are right now, when we're probably looking. We had Tom Garrett on earlier, and he was saying that we're most likely looking at another continuing resolution. Yep. Let's get to the president's immigration reform legislative solution and what the president has said. And when we get through the language and everything else about other countries and the S-hole, and I'll put that aside a minute, just the policy, the president saying, look, I'll go with your amnesty on DACA. You can call it what you want. It's amnesty. These are 800,000 people. They've registered. They're in the States now. I'll go with you on that. But I want a long-term plan. I want money for my wall. I want E-Verify. I want to get rid of chain migration. And I want to eliminate the visa lottery program. Is that a compromise that Congressman Walter Jones can back?
Well, certainly it's one that Walter Jones will certainly look at very seriously, because we got a problem that seems to be growing by the moment instead of not growing by the moment. As I've said before with you, that too many times that what is being proposed does not and is not reality when it's written in a bill. So you have to wait to see the bill. Then I could give you a direct yes or no, where right now, conceptually, yes, it would be my answer to some of those proposals that you just mentioned. However, until you see it in written form, the unintended consequences of anything we do up here, whether it deals with immigration or DACA or anything else, you have to see how it's written, because you know what, John, you would be talking about it. Other radio show luminaries like yourself will be talking about it. And then the American people will have a chance to help us decide as their representatives what is in the best interest of our country.
So what did you make of this whole debate, this whole conversation that's gone on here for 5 days, having to do with the president's comments in the Oval Office, referring to why are we taking people in from some of these countries? He called them S-holes. My take was, quite frankly, I didn't think it was racist. I think it had nothing to do with skin color. I think what he was talking about is he wants a merit-based immigration reform system that prioritizes people that have a skill and an education level that meets an economic need that we have, because he didn't run to be president of Haiti. He ran to be president of the United States. But did that bother you? Did that put you off the edge?
Well, John, it's not helpful. I'm sorry. You and I might agree or disagree with what I just said. It's certainly not helpful. And why let this thing linger as long as it has? I said to my wife over the weekend that what I would suggest to the president if I was one of his advisors is go public and say, I did not say what people are indicating that I did say. But if there was a misunderstanding, I'm going to apologize, even though I don't think I said what is being interpreted. Somehow get off the subject matter. And it's hard for President Trump to say, I made a mistake. But on this one, I think, again, whether he did or did not, I think he should have publicly said there's been a misunderstanding, and I'm sorry about the misunderstanding. And you kill it You take it away from the Democrats. You kill it by just making that statement within hours of the misunderstanding, or if he did say it. To me, we have gotten to a place in America today that too many things are complicated because of misunderstandings and misstatements. It is a different time than I've ever seen, with so much animosity toward individuals and parties and issues. It's just never quite seen the way it is today.
I tell you what, Congressman Jones, you should be giving them communications advice, because I think you basically figured it out. That's all he had to say was immediately, look, that's not what I meant. That was a misunderstanding, and that's not exactly what I said. I mean, if they had done that immediately, they could have squashed this whole thing, and we could have gone on to something else. But because they waited, because they waited 3 days and then said, well, he didn't really say that. You know, had they said that immediately and said, that's not what he said, not what he meant, fake news, you know, that would have been the end of it, because it would have been Dick Durbin's word against everybody else.
Absolutely.
But instead, they waited. And that waiting, before they even came back with, I didn't say that, the cat got out of the bag and it was all over CNN. And, of course, I had the infamous now episode where Don Lemon cut me off and put me in timeout and took my face off the screen and all that. So,
well, I'm sorry I missed that.
I know. You got to just ask your staff for the link.
Pull it back.
It definitely
what night was that?
That was Thursday night.
Okay.
Yeah, I was on top of the hour, and it's gone viral. It's international, and I said like 8 words, and he just didn't like what I was saying, so he cut me off and cut my mic and said, cut his mic and take him off the screen, and I got put in timeout for disagreeing with him. So, challenging his argument. So, you know, I guess that's a badge of honor on CNN these days.
Well, I'm proud of you. You just continue to grow and expand. That's great.
Well, look, I appreciate it. We're going to see how this plays out. Looks like you're going to have something to review to avert a government shutdown in the next 24 hours is what I just heard today. And I just want to mention one other thing. You did a press release yesterday, really upset again about foreign countries dumping shrimp into the U.S. market, which is hurting your shrimpers along the Carolina coast. It's also hurting those on the Eastern Shore, Virginia, all the way up through Maryland. It hurts everybody. And, you know, here's what bothers me about this, Congressman. This has been going on forever. We don't do a damn thing about it. This is what the president campaigned against. This is what he said, you know, our country is stupid because we let other foreign countries just dump things in our market without a tariff. And so they cheat the system. They undercut our markets. They hurt our farmers, our businesses, our manufacturers, and right now our fishermen. All you need to do, all the president needs to do is slap a tariff on these people, and that'll be the end of it. Why won't they do that?
John, I agree with you, and the issue of seafood being dumped on the American people by these foreign countries, you are exactly right. It's been going on for years, and we need some action by the administration, and I would say that if it's a Democratic administration, it is a Republican administration. We have got to say to the Chinese, and this can be done without the press knowing everything that's being said, just to tell them, you do this again, and you're going to pay a price for it.
That's all he has to do.
Tariffs or some other type of business relationship. But we've got to, I mean, I have said many, many times, I've been here 22 years.
Right.
And the number of commercial fishermen in the 3rd District of North Carolina is at least half the size it was when I got here.
Right. And look, it's stupid. And what bothers me about this is the government is always trying to respond to this through the FDA or through, has the shrimp passed these tests? I think that's the wrong way to go about it. I simply think you do what the president said. If you're going to try to dump things into the country that is going to hurt our workers, whether it be fishermen or manufacturers of cars, if you're going to dump, you're going to get a tariff. And if there was simply a tariff on shrimp at 30%, that would be the end of it. And the thing is, it's not like, well, consumers are getting shrimp cheaper. That's baloney. You pay the same today that you paid with or without them. Has nothing to do with that. It's just a windfall for those governments. And we need a tariff on this. This is what the president campaigned on, and this is what we need to do. And it's outrageous, and I thank you for pointing this out because it affects not only fishermen in North Carolina, but Virginia, the Eastern Shore, Maryland, Delaware, all the way up. Congressman, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, John. Have a blessed day.